Welcome, Ishaun Signh, WPA President. Thank you for joining us. You and I have been talking in the background a lot over the last number of months, trying to keep track of what's been going on, and finally we got the resolution that we were looking for. For starters, I'll ask you some of the same questions I asked Emily at Matchroom, and it starts with, why was this round of talks different than previous? Was it just the matter that push had come to shove and people were being penalized now, and so it became, there was more at stake for each player?
I think it was a combination of those kind of facts. But I would say both Matchroom and the WPA probably have, I know on our end we received numerous inquiries about what players can play and what they can't play in. And Matchroom probably was experiencing the same things. So as I mentioned before, I think when Matchroom, in this case, this time around, they reached out to us.
Okay.
And I was really happy when they did.
Now, the primary thing that they wanted to get accomplished was to have the player bans lifted so that players could participate in events, WNT and WPA. What was the give and take? What were the compromises that allowed you and your members to agree to do that?
Mike, I think the negotiations, it started off very basically.
Right.
In fact, in the original, let's say, get-together, Mr. Barry Hearn said to us, all right, it's very simple. Basically, him and I agreed on some just broad principles, and we said, let the legal team put it down to paper. Well, from December, as you know, the agreement only got reached or signed just a few weeks back. So what was supposed to be very simple turned out to be really complicated in the end. And the complications stretched on our side. There were delays because Matchroom's request to have the player bans lifted and the fines that were imposed to be waived. We, the WPA, didn't have the authority to do that, so we had to go back to our members to get that approval. And each of our 6 members kind of had different opinions on just about everything. So it was it became very complicated in the end to achieve which was basically having all the players to be able to play in all the events that they want, and not have those suspensions that was created with the licenses.
Yeah, well, your members, obviously, it's a very passionate group, and there's a lot at stake for them, and they've got a lot of pride in their federations and things of that nature. How hard, I know you really wanted to see this deal happen, how hard was it for you to get all of those members with their disparate, interests and things that they really wanted out of the agreement? How did you manage to get them all on the same page?
Well, actually, it was really difficult because we have, let's call it a 2-step process. We, the board itself, needed to be on the same page. And as you know, my board is made up of members from all around the world as well. So that took a little bit of debates and discussions and working out what can be done. But I think the few of us that were supporting the concept were able to convince the rest that this was the right way to go. Yeah. The next step was then to go to the members. That was the difficult part. Each of our members have been influenced by the Matchroom events differently. So each one had a different and unique view on it. In general, some of our members, I'm not going to mention names in here, but some of the members were totally against the WPA making this, trying to work out an arrangement. based on the fact that we attempted a few times before that. And at the end, it was Matchroom who then made it clear that they're not going to deal with the WPA. So some members took that on that value and felt that we should just go on, because we got into the mess and just go on, like that. Um, and some of them felt very strongly towards that effect because they were harmed so badly. Because divisions, we all know, the world knows that every continent, everywhere players were divided. So so there was that feeling that was going around, and let's say some of them were hurt in different ways. Some people financially, others, let's call it their ego, pride. I don't know what it was, but we had a massive uphill battle. A lot of it was understandable, but like I said, in the end, we it was largely me. I put my neck on the line. I told all the members just a few months ago when we had our General Assembly, I basically pleaded to the members to give me the authority to do this deal with Matchroom and let us build from there. Um, because we have done some very good work, I think we gained some credibility, and then the members gave us that freedom to conclude the deal,
Yeah.
which we have then done.
Yeah, well, it's obviously a great thing for everybody. Um, Big part of this deal, the language around it, looking at these events now as ratified instead of sanctioned. And you've explained before that ratified is something that you've come up with for other promoters that you work with that allow them to kind of still run the event by their rules, the way they want to do it, but still have the ability to use all the players, to invite all the players to do it. What was the main reason that Matchroom and WPA decided to have events that were ratified as opposed to sanctioned? And who preferred that scenario?
It was it was it was something that was introduced by me to Matchroom. They were obviously not aware of the ratification and as an alternative. And the WPA only recently came about it. It started from companies in China wanting to play events on what we would call Chinese pool tables. And they've got a game called, I think it's like a 10 ball game, Indigo 10. They've got the Golden 9. Anyway, they've got variables of the 8 ball, 9 ball, 10 ball game. And they are promoting events and they want international players to play in it. So because its rules are not in the WPA structure currently, and it is run totally by them from start to finish, they really have nothing to do with the WPA from that point of view. But they want our players, the international players, that is, to participate. So we came up with a concept of ratifying, basically allowing a lot more freedom compared to the sanctioning process. And some of our existing promoters also have new concepts that they want to implement and do. And this would then give them the like a leeway to do it without causing any problems for athletes. So when I offered that, largely Matchroom, as you know, it's been announced. Barry said they want to do their thing. They know what they're good at doing what they do, and they really don't want to be told or boshed by anybody else. And I think this ratification it's not perfect, but it finds that middle ground to allow a promoter to do certain things.
Right.
And I think that's how then Matchroom took that opportunity. Obviously, we presented it and they accepted it.
Okay. One last question, and that is, an obvious concern going forward as the landscape gets broader and bigger for all these tournaments and promoters around the world. Date conflicts are certain to pop up. How is that going to be handled? Is that something that you guys addressed actually in the agreement, or is the WPA going to take on the role of being mediator and helping, work these date conflicts through so that it doesn't hurt one tournament over another?
Yes, this had the most amount of discussion because it was obvious and evident with the number of events coming up around the world. Date clashes, it's just going to be a thing. Um, when I took on this position, it was a topic that we had and discussed that the WPA saw um, that we won't be able to avoid date clashes at the rate of growth that's been on. So whilst I plan on being the mediator between our promoters, we just signed the agreement, which now we've got the Matchroom calendar added to our existing calendar, and there's already a whole bunch of events that was planned and already on that. We started, our sports director has been nonstop at it, speaking to promoters, speaking to Matchroom, speaking to the other promoters to see how we could move a day or two, to avoid these clashes. But as per you spoke about the wording in the contract, it is us to do our best endeavor at preventing clashes,
Yeah.
and that we certainly will do. But as you know, Mike, it's some of them cannot be prevented. What I am hoping is that the problems we experience for the rest of this year could be rectified from next year and the following year
Right.
by our promoters giving us dates early. It's because then it'll be easier for us to protect somebody's date. And the way we see it, we really need to protect what one would consider majors, in our sport. There's going to be events around the world that will still take place, what the WPA calls its lower category events. Nowadays, the under the $60,000 added prize money sector, there's going to be a bunch of those kind of events
Right.
that may clash, certainly. But our major events, we'll try and get our promoters to separate dates so that the athletes can get the chance to play in the best events.
Well, good luck with that. I think that I think that juggling calendars is going to take up most of your time in the coming years. But in the meantime, I'm certainly, we're all certainly happy that an agreement's been reached, and the players happier than anyone that now they can just look ahead at the calendar and pick and choose the events that they want to go see. So congratulations on that to you and the WPA for helping to work that out with Matchroom. And Ishaun, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Right. Thank you, Mike.